Hey there, friends. I'm your host, Eric Branner, musician, educator, and founder of Fonz, the platform that helps music teachers run thriving studios. Today, I'm joined by Michael Richey, owner of Tennessee Music Academy, a multi-teacher travel studio based in Nashville. Michael is someone whose work immediately stands out for its professionalism, clarity, and care for students and for the teaching profession itself. His teaching is informed by years of study in the Alexander technique and Dalcroze Eurhythmics, and he brings these ideas into real-world studio life in a way that's grounded and practical. In this conversation, we'll talk about building a sustainable teaching business, maintaining high standards without losing joy, Michael's involvement with MTNA, and how movement, awareness, and intention shape not how we teach, but also how we work. Let's get into it. Michael, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thanks, Eric, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing well. Glad to be on a break as we're at the scheduled time on a break now for Christmas holidays. So just excited to be here and talk with you.
Yeah, it is a very important moment to be able to just stop for a second at the end of a year, this natural little break that we get. I think did we meet at a music conference?
Had to be NCKP. Yeah.
Okay, that's where we first met in real life.
Okay. Ago. Yeah.
Gosh, yes. So at the last NCKP. And, I had known you through the Fonz world a little bit, and meeting you in real life and then doing this podcast, I was just really excited to get you on the show. And I just wanted to dive right in, learn about what you do, because I think that you run a really special program in your community. And I love how you do it, and I want to talk about how you do it. So let's begin with, how did you get to this moment of being a music school owner and a piano teacher and all these things?
Sure. Thanks for asking and asking me to be on the podcast. I really thought, why in the world would he want me on this podcast? Especially after listening to all these amazing people and their stories. If you haven't listened to the podcast, go listen to all these amazing episodes. You're such a kind person to be doing this podcast, and I don't know what I'm doing here, so I will just tell my story and lead you into this. Yeah, I grew up in rural Tennessee. Nothing really extraordinary about my experience. I took from a woman who my parents met on the soccer field when I was playing rec league soccer, and took piano with her all the way through high school. I did pick up the trombone in marching band, concert and marching band from middle school and high school. So that was a great experience. I haven't really touched the trombone in many years. I played a little bit in college, but I didn't expect to really be a music teacher at all. I had no category for musicians, professional musicians, college music major, nothing like that. So that's what I mean by I had nothing really extraordinary, just kind of ordinary life brought me to be a student at Belmont, and I was in business school and studied my tail off, ended up spending hours a day in the basement practicing piano. And by my third semester, I had a professor just say, hey, you haven't really made a decision on what you're doing here, so do you want to study music? And I thought, yeah, sure, let's give it a go. And put my finger on the paper down on piano pedagogy. Thought that sounded cool. I had no idea what it meant. And then that just happened to be where my world collided. Music world and business world collided together into being a business owner and teaching music professionally.
Wait a second. So you went to school for a business degree. Music wasn't this blazing passion that you had to do. I love this. Is an amazing story. I love this. And you were in your first year and you were doing business, but were there just pianos available or in practice rooms or something? Is that what you're saying? You went down to start playing?
Yes, I guess I should. I did study with a professor my first semester because I took music lessons for so long, over 10 years. So I was like, what else am I going to do? I need to do music lessons, right? So I went to school of music and said, I want to sign up for music lessons, but I'm not a major or minor or anything. So they said, okay, here's how you do it. And I took private lessons. And that professor really, the way he taught, he just showed me how to practice, he told me, you do this and you come back next week. And then I would go into the practice room and do that, and I'd get results, unlike anything I've ever experienced. And actually, his music minors and majors, other students that studied with him, I was around them because we had to be a part of a seminar every week where we perform for each other. And they were always complaining about their grades. And I'm like, I'm getting an A. What are you talking about, your grade? They're like, we can barely get a C. He never gives A's. I just did what I was supposed to do. So that was great. And then he just approached me my sophomore year, my first semester, sophomore year, about being a music major. So yeah, I kind of fell into it. I thought I was going to be probably teaching something along the way. Just didn't know it was going to be music. That makes sense.
So you did have an inclination towards teaching, and I think it's really interesting too, because what I've observed just in knowing you is you come across extremely confident, but you also build trust really quickly. And I would urge you, if you're listening to this podcast, and I spent some time just on your website, and it's one of the cleanest, most direct, warm, and welcoming websites that I've seen out there in this space. And I love it because it instantly builds trust. And the way that you have your copy written and your value proposition, it's really and you yourself are like that out in the world, like whether you're at a conference or whatever. And it makes sense that there's a business background, that you have this and every single person that I've interviewed have these tidbits of information that we can get that can hopefully, if you're listening, it helps you think about ways you can manage or navigate your own journey. And I love that you were a business major, and then you knew that there was something in the back of your mind that was about teaching. That was the second piece. And then, but music is what you did. You had this teacher come along that kind of guided you into becoming a major. But did you still graduate with a business degree too? Or did you just switch?
No, I actually just switched over.
That's what I did too.
Music is just there's so many hours. And then, of course, all the 0 credit, 1 credit hours, you're just overloaded every semester. I have a natural kind of knack for business, I guess. I took a lot of math while I was in high school, and I just get that. I get money, I get kind of people, HR type stuff doesn't feel super overwhelming to me. So I don't know if that's natural gifting or just what I had to do and how I was nurtured when I was in high school. I mean, I had to go shopping for my I have 4 sisters, but there were 3 of us living at home. Wow. I had to go shop and make a meal plan and do stuff for my family. So I had a lot of experience with money and budget management and that sort of thing growing up.
And that just moved naturally into, so you graduate from music school, you go out in the world. Did you immediately start teaching? Is that what did you know you were going to do that? Yeah,
I did. By the time I graduated, I did know I wanted to start my own piano school. And in fact, that was the one thing that many of the professors were sure about with me, is that they said, you could do this and you could be successful at that. And that's helpful because thank you for saying that. I'm confident. That's been a practice thing for me. I'm not very confident. And so I do need other people to recognize, hey, you got this idea. Why don't you run with it? Or here's a different way to run with it. So I do need help. I love what I do now. And by the time I graduated, I wanted to be a teacher and particularly be a business owner. I love that aspect as well. There's not one part that I love more than another. I know some people feel that way.
What you run now, Tennessee Music Academy, you serve the Nashville area, correct? And your value proposition is you serve people by going into their homes, right? So yes. You do in-home music lessons, and it's such a powerful angle if you can pull that off, because there are so many customers out there, students, who are so grateful to have the teacher come to them, right? Yes. It is, for them, it's the difference between being able to study or not study, right?
Yes, and yeah, that's been a little bit out of the opportunity because when I graduated, I wasn't in a permanent home. I'm leasing. I don't know what part of Nashville I'm in. Nashville's so segmented into different areas, and you can get into one area and never see anyone from the other areas of Nashville. So I felt like, okay, doing it, traveling to a student, it's not great. I have an old beater car at the time when I graduated. It's not great, but I can't really have anyone to my own home. And I knew I was working a little bit with the academy at Belmont. but I did know I didn't want to be there permanently because I wanted to make a living doing this. So working within another school was not really what I wanted. And yeah, the mobile in-home lesson teaching is definitely a different monster. I did start in a local private school. As soon as I graduated, I got hired as the piano teacher there, and then worked there for 2 years leading up into 2020, the pandemic, when everything kind of shut down. And so then I launched Tennessee Music Academy, just going full on my own.
You're giving all these kind of tidbits that I think that I'll put together as we keep talking, but it is that that you wanted to be interested in business, where most music majors don't graduate with a big, business is the thing. I want to be good at that. I figured out this budgeting thing by having, 3 sisters at home and whatever, when I was in high school and taking math, and I know that I'm interested in that. And it's almost like music is the thing that you chose to exercise that skill set. And it is really unique because, and everyone we talk to, we're all unique, but you're, as a musician and as a music teacher, it's a really unique path that you chose. And it has surfaced as a really professional looking operation that stands out. And that's why I wanted to talk to you, because what you're doing is actually really unique, which is you put the emphasis on, I noticed we have this group where we all talk about things called Bond's Family, which is a really special spot. And I always, when your feedback, whenever you offer it up or you share something, it's really grounded in common sense. And this is just the way it's supposed to be. And we all know that. But it's really hard for a lot of we musicians who tend to be more on like the passion side of it, right? I'm an artist. What am I doing? I can't ask people to pay me. All these little things that come seemingly really natural to you, I think is a great balance that more people should learn about and think, especially if you're in music school, because I'm interested how you realized at what moment that you're like, wow, I can make a business out of this. And make it because there aren't a lot of great role models, especially when you were coming out of school at that time, that were demonstrating awesome business. There's great teachers who were doing great things, but the business was secondary. It seems like that's kind of a newer thing, teacher as serious profession. Although I just was realizing, I just interviewed the CEO of the Music Teachers National Association last week, and he was talking, he painted this picture of when they started in like 1870, the Music Teachers National Association, and that was like a gig then. People would be hanging up their shingles in their neighborhood. So it has been around. We just haven't been thinking about it in modern context so much. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I will tell you, so much of my success is indebted to those who've come before. And I had so many older teachers, seasoned teachers in my corner as I was in the music program or graduating. And I can't discredit my professors and the faculty at college, but they do have their own kind of ideas. And a lot of them haven't been independent teachers since 30 years prior. So they have a really different sense for the business world of 2025 or back in 2018 when I was graduating. But I listen to what those older teachers say. They say, don't ever make up a lesson. And I said, okay, I'm going to take that seriously, and I'm not going to make up lessons. And so I didn't. And they would say, just charge this flat rate. It works. And I said, okay. And then I saw the progress, and I got to build a school on that, because someone else was there to tell me, hey, don't do this. Do this instead.
And let me stop you, because if you just listen to like the 30 seconds that you shared and then just turn this off and walk away, it's all the lesson that we need to take from this. 2 things. You said, I'm not doing makeups. That was advice you were given. You just followed it. The second thing is I'm going to do a flat rate billing model, which is for what you do, it's a prevailing method. Again, I would encourage people to go to your website, TN Music Academy, and look on your pricing page. There's like 3 options. It's this or this per month. Both of those things are maybe the 2 most powerful business decisions that you can make and stick to. And they're also 80% of the conversations you see in piano teachers groups. right? And it's the problems that come out of being like, well, I invoice for the month ahead. We count lessons and they missed last month. They do this. I did it for a decade, more than a decade, but it's a nightmare, and it fosters and breeds misunderstanding and confusion on both sides. Where if you have the gumption to just say, oh no, it's this much a month, this is my business, and that's what it is, and no, there's no reschedules. I don't do that. Your students, who are your customers, the person paying you is the customer, which often is a parent. It's so much easier because it makes their lives easier. They don't feel like they need to chase you around. They don't feel like they need to justify making every lesson if they miss one. They just understand how that works quickly. And what you just said, those two pieces of advice, which is don't do reschedules. You don't need to do makeups. Charge do the flat rate thing. If you're a touring musician, it's a little bit more difficult, but if this is your job, just charge the flat rate, do this, it's fine.
Yes.
You'll be so much happier. But the thing that I think is interesting, and I've seen you do this, is that you actually stick to it. Because I think a lot of people get excited and go, well, I'm going to do it. No more makeups. And they'll send out an email and they'll say, no more makeups. And then a family will be like, well, you know what? We've always wanted to go to Bali, and we're going for the next 3 weeks. And we'd like to make up all those lessons before we go. When should we come by? And you go, well, okay, just this once. And then before you know it, you're giving makeups for everybody.
Yes.
The key is being able to actually do it. And that's what I love about talking to you. It's like,
you actually got to do it.
You just got to do it. So is this just the way you're wired?
I think part of it is the way I'm wired. And a lot of people say that, oh, this messes with my vision of this community that I have. And I'm like, this comes from my vision, because I've decided I want a very high quality service. We're trying to remove as many steps as possible for parents. They're not having to leave the home. We include their books and materials. We don't charge separate recital fees or anything. So we offer a lot from the rate that they pay. But you had David Cutler on, and amazing. I mean, that was a big influence in like, okay, yeah, I could totally do this. I see how he works very logically from this is what I need back to, okay, this is what I need to charge every student.
Did you have a copy of The Savvy Music Teacher, right? Or when that David Cutler,
for sure, yeah.
Okay, when he talks about the flat rate billing model in depth.
Yeah, I had that. I had it since I was a college student. Didn't get it by anyone's recommendation. Someone gave it to me. I don't remember who it was. Just a random family friend, I think, gave it to me. So, and it's amazing, of course, that first book, and I've read most of the second book, haven't finished it yet. It's on that list for this break.
I'm looking at your website right now, and I just love it. And if it's tnmusicacademy.com, I love private music lessons in Nashville, professional in-home instruction for piano, voice, and more. The way you list that, and then your subtitle, formal year-round music education in the comfort of your home, trusted by hundreds of Nashville families. And then you've got the MTNA logo, and you've got your call to action, your CTAs, just request a free trial lesson. And there's this great picture in the background of you with a student, and the student's smiling, and there's light coming in. I think it's one of the clearest home pages for a number of reasons. It's really great SEO, the way you've got it set up. But it really differentiates, because if I'm a parent and I'm super busy, I'm a professional, say I'm a doctor and I really want my kid to study, I don't have time to drive them to a music school. I look at this and it looks so professional. You're accredited, the color's great, and the value proposition is clear. We offer these lessons in your home. That's what I'm looking for. And I feel like you've created yourself as a real differentiator with your brand, with all these things we've talked about, which is you've got trust on the homepage. And I have another suspicion that I think that the fact that those two things that you decide to do, we don't do refund, or we don't do reschedules. This is how much it costs. That's how much it costs to study me. It's super simple. I think that you did that so eloquently and so simply. I think that people go to your website and it's one more thing that actually makes them trust you more, because they think, oh gosh, this dude's legit.
Yeah.
And by sticking to it, you actually bolster your business and your professionalism, so people treat you better. Then you start liking yourself more. Then you have more bandwidth to do these other things. And You were a big fan of Alexander technique. Did you study that after school or?
I did, yeah. Right after college, I met my teacher. Sadly, passed away a few years ago, terminal cancer. But I got into that, and part of that was because I was having some repetitive shoulder injury just from studying under 3 years to get out of school, to get out as a college music major in under 3 years. That was a lot of work.
Oh, you did college in 3 years as
Well,
a
I
music
did.
major. Your music program in 3 years.
Once I switched into a school of music, I had to
You
just
graduate
take
on
off
time.
and to graduate on time
Got you.
and to take some summers. I mean, I took year-round classes. So,
So you're a grinder. So for people who don't know, what is Alexander technique?
by the way, I'm not certified, so you don't want to quote my definition of Alexander technique. Essentially, Alexander was, I believe he was a voice actor or orator or something, and he figured out he was injuring his voice, and he probably went to doctors and stuff. He actually figured out how to manipulate his body in front of a mirror, and he started just changing things and learning how to not injure his voice. So that just, he took off from that, and Alexander technique today, of course, is not really looking at yourself in a mirror all about your voice, but it's really kind of getting down to how you can move really well and move to where the structure of your body was meant to move. And then with musicians, you're producing this technique, this just good movement that I shouldn't probably use good movement because Eurhythmics kind of collides with that a little bit. But but I think it's really just moving your body the way it's supposed to move and be used to help you to reach a greater potential.
Yeah, as a guitar player, we sit really cattywampus. Like we have one leg up and we're like this, and and so I had some real issues when I was really making a go at being a concert player, practicing a lot. And Alexander technique just changed everything for me. It allowed me to play and to be free. And so I was really, really grateful to come across a teacher and to work with that. So do you use that with your students, those principles? You're teaching mostly kids, I'm guessing. Is that
I teach, yeah, mostly under 18.
Okay.
I've taught some adults. I'm at an age where that's not really particularly enjoyable for me yet. We're just too close in age. We're too far in age. And I don't know. I do kind of specialize in the younger kids or intermediates. Yeah, Alexander, I think the other thing about Alexander is it's not really, people get it's this mystical thing, or they get too scared of that. But I found it's just so practical in just how do you sit. And I think I caught on to that because I'm not into very deep. I like philosophy. I think it's a great thing to study, but I'm not into like the mystic stuff. And so my teacher really made it a very practical lesson experience for me. How you sit, and then just moving around and like not listening, but observing what you feel in your body. And I think you can definitely transfer that from the first lesson and all those sorts of things. I do kind of have to cover my ears when I go in and hear other people talk about piano technique, because they use such big, eloquent words that we have no idea what they mean. And that was me. Yeah. I was lost when it came to technique, and when people talk about technique, and sometimes my professors would just use these lofty, fluffy phrases and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know what you're asking me to do. So the Alexander technique has definitely had a huge mark on my life and teaching.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if we could, speaking of having someone come into your studio, and because I would love to learn about just going through the journey of your funnel. Like I started with your website, but let's go back one more step. So how many students do you have? Other teachers who work for you? Yes. How many students do you see currently? How many are on your roster?
Currently, I have 32 on my roster.
Okay, plus you're managing a school. Okay,
that's the most I've had in many years, and it's been quite a semester. But
that's a lot.
I've never taught over 40, and that's another reason for my modeling and the value that I have. The model works, and so I have a good friend who teaches in Ohio, and he was big on like, yeah, I'm not teaching more than 20 students. I don't need to do that's not good for me.
To
So
know
again,
where
I
you
just
are at what season in your life is such great wisdom to avoid
yeah,
burning out and hating it.
and I just took that wisdom. I just said, okay, I'm gonna try that. It's working for you. I'm gonna try that, and I do. And I was unmarried at the time, so I do want to have a family and make sure I'm creating the potential to have space in my life. And obviously, you need to live your life. I'm ending my 20s now, so
Oh, wow.
20s were great, but I'm excited. I'm still excited for the 30s, but I have potential because I've taken steps to guard against there are people in my town who teach 70 students a week.
Yep. So you have put
Not
in
me.
you have put in guardrails in place to make your business sustainable. And this all comes back to the two pieces of advice you gave at the beginning.
Yes.
The willingness to, because I was bad about, well, I'll just take one more. Next thing I had like 50 students and I was like, oh my gosh, this is way too much. It takes a lot of discipline and wisdom to establish those guardrails of knowing how many students you can reasonably work with and at what season of your life you're in. And you said that actually really well. And I think it's really important. So you've been teaching since 2018, you said is when you graduated, and you've been serving this community. I would love to learn because I think your website is beautiful. How do people do people find you through your website, or is it mostly word of mouth of people you've worked with? How would someone discover Tennessee Music Academy?
It's a mixed bag. In Nashville, we have a very interesting community.
Yeah.
I actually work mostly south of Nashville in a Williamson County area, and it's an affluent area, but it's an area that's just been attracting people from all over the place, the Western Coast,
Yeah.
Chicago, New York, some people from the South, in Florida. It's been just people from all over the place, and so it's not really the community it used to be. So I think a lot of those people, of course, go to Google. They just Google piano teachers in Nashville. And so I've had to be on top of the website. And thank you for again, for affirming that, because I've spent some money on it and I've done a lot of work myself on it, just because I can't fathom redoing the website right now. So I've done a lot of that work myself. I've had some SEO experts give me basically a task list to do. And they hopefully find my website. It's a little difficult on Google because I can be on the maps, but I don't know how they list things without an address. I don't list my address.
If you're listening, Google likes to verify businesses where they'll make you walk into the business with a phone and take pictures of it or
Oh
a
my
video.
goodness. I had to do this.
Yeah.
I had to do this recently. There was something I wanted to change, and they said, you need to go re-verify again. And I had no idea. I hadn't verified since I started the account probably in 2020. And I had to go to the Brentwood Library and like show that I was in a place that was real, that had the address, the name Brentwood in it, and go run to my car and show my website on my computer and show some of my like a sticker with my name on it. It was crazy. I don't know. Well, there's no one at Google we can contact. There's just a robot.
You know what, Michael? A friend of mine who was he's one of the top 2-3 flamenco guitarists in the country. After 20 years, his Google account disappeared. All the reviews, and this has happened in the last month, and there's nothing you can do. Even if you know people that work at Google, there's nothing you can do. We live in Seattle. We know people. There's nothing you can do. It's really crazy. So,
oh man.
So my question is, do you feel like your call to action on your website, and I think you do so much so well that's common sense, that I think if you're listening, you're like, oh, this is a good idea. A call to action is not pay for a lesson. You call it a free trial, I think, on yours. I think this is definitely the way, which is to make sure you're a good fit for the family. How would you say most of your students come into your funnel? Is it mostly through word of mouth, or do they just book a trial lesson, or do they call you?
They fill out the form on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
More
the
than
way
phone calls.
I hear from most people. And if anyone is being referred to me, I tell them, "Here's the website. Just fill it out." Because I like to have their number and their email. And there's an optional message they can tell me about their student or not. But it's helpful to know.
So by having someone fill out a form, and you could do a simple Google form too, just your name, your phone number, by age, in your case, where they would live, that gives you so much information. From that form, do you contact them to schedule a first lesson or a meet and greet?
I mean, now, used to, yes, because it was mostly me and another teacher, but now I have 6 of us now who are taking students, and I need to know more information, so I need to confirm that they have seen the prices and that they're okay with it. A lot of people don't see the prices, so I have to confirm that before I make one of my teachers contact them. So once we get the form, I will confirm with them with their preferred. I use text or email, and I let them say which is preferred. So we go with either one, whatever they mark, and that's been really effective because if they say text, they text back. If they say email, they tend to only email. That's helpful to know throughout our entire relationship with the client.
You establish their comfortable form of communication.
Exactly.
In your flow. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes it's having to tell one of my contractors, like, oh, you emailed them, but they said text. You need to make sure to text them. So I have to just make sure to tell my other teachers the same thing, but it's really helpful.
Got it. So they come through your form. And even if it's someone that says, "Hey, I'm sitting next to you at a game, Michael, I want to have my kids study with you." You're like, "Go to my website, fill out the form."
Yes.
So you funnel everything through that, and this is really smart.
I mean, that's always like, if they're not going to take the step, then they're not really serious about, we're interested in lessons. You get that at the football field or wherever you are. Oh, I wish I took lessons. I need to take lessons. What about teaching me? And like, okay, go to my website, fill out the form, and I'll contact you.
Yeah, I love that. You're doing all the hard stuff up front. And most music teachers, it's really hard to do, to say, it's a business, this is how much I charge. No, I don't do reschedules. All these things, if you can do them up front, if you can force yourself to this, the reality is the people that you're serving, this is how they talk. They're professionals. They appreciate directness because their time is really valuable too. And so all you're doing is you're creating something that's deeply respectful to the people that you're serving. No, just go to the website. Okay, great. Now you've seen how much everything costs. I've got your information. You're good with all that. Now we can do this intro lesson where myself or one of my teachers is going to wow you with about what we can do. And at this point, I'm looking for holes in your funnel. And I'm trying to imagine maybe another local music school or something, or another teacher. And already you've got the differentiator, which is you go to people's homes. I love that you have a singular form of communication. That's really interesting. Which one do you like? Oh, it's email. And it is true. Parents do tend to kind of pick one of those that they really enjoy. One question, because I think it's really important, and when we have these type of leads, is speed, right? And speed, the fastest speed is picking up the phone. Is being like, "Hello, this is Branner. Yes, I do have an opening on Tuesday." You lose a little bit of speed in your flow because you're going through a form, but that form gives you more information, so it's a stronger lead.
I'm on the road, and I need that information while I'm on the road, not a phone call, because I can't be getting that phone call while I'm on the road.
Yeah, because you're driving, and you're doing this with 6 other teachers. You said 2?
Yeah,
you're
5 other teachers, so 6 of us total. Yeah.
For many years, I did in-home lessons, and I loved it. And my wife and I, we had a baby grand piano in our living room, and we would print out a map of Seattle, and we had a big map, and we put on the piano, and we would have the student roster, and we would try to map this thing. This is before, you could probably do it with.
Oh, yeah.
And we just had points, and I knew where I was going. We tried to make maybe 2 kids can come over here and we can work this neighborhood out this way. And it was such an art form. How do you do that for 6 teachers?
I don't do it for them. Right now, they do it because they're contractors. We're a great contractor state in Tennessee. So, and part of that model is that I'm going to pay them for that. I'm going to compensate that they are keeping their schedules and driving to someone's home. So, they need to have a higher compensation than what they would definitely be making at a music store.
Cool. And tell me about what it's like. I'm sure that working for you is great too, because it's pretty matter of fact. This is how it's going to be. I'm going to treat you well. It's fair. Obviously, you're compensating them well. What is something that's been interesting or that's important to you in that journey? Do you like this side of the business of managing other teachers?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, there's some learning curves. Recently we had a situation and a contractor was not communicating our attendance policy as clearly as they could have been. And that's, I think, where that's probably most anyone who's running a multi-teacher studio, they find that one of their employees or someone has not been actually following the policy or has been making exceptions. And you just have to say, again, you nailed me right there. I am pretty matter of fact. Like, okay, I need you to, here's some language you can use. So I just give them the language now and say, here's what you say. If they say, oh, Johnny had an opportunity. That word opportunity has been the thing for our parents. We have an opportunity come up, and like, okay, they're going to be asking for some kind of exception to our rules. Usually I just say, that's really great. That sounds like an exciting thing. And I put the ball back in their court. I was like, that's great. It sounds like he has some choices, and choices are really great. So I'm excited to hear what you decide. Just let me know.
That's it.
I don't really entertain, can we make it up? Can we do this? And if they do ask after that, I just say, sorry, I don't make up lessons. Or if you've in lessons, you're going to unenroll, and so you're going to lose your spot. I think most people with us, they're chill about it. They're cool. They either in lessons and they're good, or they just, or they know, okay, if I want to keep my spot, let's decide if this 6-week break is appropriate, or if we want to pay for the 6 weeks, or if we want to in lessons and come back and see what's available. And it's great. I don't think it needs to be more complicated than that.
I love how you said you just put the ball back in there. That's really great. I look forward to hearing what you do. You've got some decisions to make, and that's it. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, as a human, that person is really trying to ask for something, and there's digging a little bit to see if they can get it. But if you can tactfully not make that vibe come into the conversation where suddenly it's like, well, I'm free this Saturday. Like as soon as you say that, it's over. Like you're just done, and you feel like And so there's a couple things. One is you have a policy, and I love how you were just talking about one of your teachers clearly communicating your attendance policy. That needed to be done, but here's verbiage that you can use to say it. So you're guiding them in that. And I think that's probably why you're a great manager. It's really hard for music teachers to develop this. But I feel like it should be a course. Like I think that you should go to MTNA and you should put together a thing about it. Should just be called like crystal clear, because your policies aren't
communication
long.
Is
it's just
so
simple.
Much.
And it's an art form that I think you were just really blessed to have. That's not annoying. When you talk about, there's some people who talk about business and they talk about how they work, and it gets under your skin. Like they tell you, like I say, oh, Michael, I've got an opportunity. And what you tell me back as a customer, it kind of makes me mad, where I'm just like, because I've done this where I've annoyed customers and I'm kind of like, oh, really? And then, and then now it's like, Michael's not really giving me what I should be getting. Well, we'll see. And then it just creates this, it probably doesn't happen to you, but I've done this over the years where I've created weird energy through enforcing a cancellation policy. It's the art form is the people who are like, no, I'm pretty awesome. And like, this is what I do. And that's it. It's simple. And so I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. But I think the policy, it goes back to that basic policy. It's the decision's already made. I don't have to make a decision. And what parents really want you to do is try to make a decision for them. Sometimes they text. Even now, I have clients who ask, well, they kind of have a stuffy no. Should we really have a lesson today? And I don't know. I'm not sitting next to your child, or I'm not taking their temperature. Just let me know what you decide. It doesn't matter, because you cancel. And if you don't, okay, we'll see. I can still get there and decide that I need to leave. But they just don't want to make the decision. And I think a lot of people who work for me also don't want to make decisions. So I've made a decision for them.
If
you don't make it up.
This is actually a great edge case. So that happens. If you show up at a home and the student, because you're saying I don't do reschedules, and the student's obviously ill, right? And how do you muscle through that? Or has that ever happened?
No, I don't think it's happened maybe one time. Maybe one time where I've had to just end the lesson. I just left.
Huh.
They're clearly they're not into it. They just can't get through a lesson.
Huh. So it's not something that happens a lot.
But usually it doesn't happen. But I get the text of well, we're concerned. Is it too sick? I'm not going to make this decision for you. I'm not the parent. I'm not sitting next to the child. I don't know what you're dealing with.
So there it is you make your policy, and the policy's already made the decision, and then they want you to make the decision for them. This is really good.
Yeah.
I have not thought about a lot of these things before until I'm hearing them from you. And I'm so glad that we dug into this because it's really important. Yes. No, I can't decide. The policy's simple. If you want me to be there, I'll be there. If you think not, I probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think it seems like aside from yourself having so fewer toxic and painful and those awkward conversations, you're also saving them from it. You're saving them from themselves. You're helping them be cool, which at the end of the day feels good for everybody. And I'm sure this has a massive effect on your retention and a massive effect on
attendance.
Attendance
way better.
Yeah.
Results are way better as a result of higher attendance. So it just works so well.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah. That's excellent. There's a lot to listen to, although it's very simple. We can take this talk and we can really distill it down. So now you're about to enter a new decade. I'm about to enter a new decade too, just a lot older. I'm turning 50 this year. Yeah. And
great.
I know. Yeah. Pumped. So as you put on these guardrails, we talked about that. You've got this great business. It's obviously doing really well. What is next for you? What are you really excited about?
Yeah, I am really excited about I really ultimately don't want to be actually a traveling studio. I actually do want to open a brick and mortar storefront. We have just accomplished becoming a Steinway educational teacher and education partner. So I really have a huge vision. Have no idea how we're going to purchase grand pianos, but it's going to happen, I think. It might happen in this next decade. I actually hope it does. But we want to bring in, again, another step up, another level of higher education standards.
Yeah.
I grew up as a rural Tennessean, and most of Tennessee is rural, and I don't think that they understand what is possible a lot of times and what a quality instrument sounds and looks like and feels like. So why would I not have them on the best instrument in the world in their music lessons, even though they're 6 or 7 or something like that?
So you have a vision for a brick and mortar in this. Is it the same community that you're serving now?
Yeah, probably the same community. I don't think it'll be only in person, in studio lessons. There will probably always be a travel aspect of it.
Element, yeah. Well, it's going to be successful, and I just picked up this idea of you want these beautiful instruments. You're trying to give a gift back to kind of childhood those people, because I grew up in a very rural part of Virginia in the Shenandoah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Having access to and when you experience awesome instruments and great teachers, and you get to sit in real concert halls when you're in music school or after, it's a really big deal. And so you have a vision to up the level of what you're offering through your brick and mortar. And this speaks to seasonality too, right? The longer I'm doing this and the more people I talk to, it's really interesting how you have this idea, you do it, and it sounds like you're about a 7 or 8 year window that you've been doing this, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I am. I've been teaching 2026 will be 10 years of teaching total.
yeah. And so it's a natural time about that decade, between 8 to 10 years, you start to think, oh, what's going to be my next thing? Why I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Is this a near term thing, or is this something you're just starting to map out? And
It is something that I'm just constantly adjusting on. I got married a little over a year ago, July 2024. So that we're focusing on buying a house and starting a family and all those things. So we want to be very fiscally responsible.
yeah,
I think that is going to be the big determining factor when this will happen, because we don't have help. I don't have a trust fund, or I don't have any family member waiting on the side that's ready to give us $1 million to do it. And it's about $1 million to do anything here in this large city, in Nashville and Franklin, Brentwood, anywhere around.
yeah.
It's a lot of money to rent, to have these big instruments. So I'm considering all possibilities, but I definitely want to continue along these lines of being very responsible financially. I don't particularly like the idea of going into a ton of debt.
Yeah. Interesting.
So,
And
yeah.
well, I know you're going to do it, and I know that you'll do it wisely, and it's a great vision. And I'm happy for you that you're not. I mean, trust fund sounds great. I've always been like, gosh, trust fund sounds so cool. And unfortunately, I don't have one either. But I think at the end of the day, it's the scrapping and making it work without one is actually you end up more happy, and you actually go further too. And you make decisions based on what your experience and your knowledge. And so I can't wait to see what you do. And I think it's going to be awesome. So, and I want to hear all about it as you go. So are you, but are you, because we're about out of time, I know you have to run, but I have one kind of question that I would love to ask. And you've shared your playbook today, which is very kind of you. And it's awesome. And I'm really grateful that you did. If you were meeting 2018 Michael, getting out of music school, starting to teach, if you were talking to somebody right now who was getting ready to go do this thing and they said, no, I really love music. I'm leaning towards the passionate side. I heard you talk and I'm an artist, man. And it's like, yeah, it sounds really hard to do this thing. I just don't know if I can make a living do this. Like what would you tell them?
I would tell them you can absolutely make a living doing it, and show them the math. I think it's when you can put it out in front of someone and show them how the math works out. I mean, they're like, oh, it's hard to argue against that. I've actually done this because we're kind of in a college town, and I'm still closely just in community with the professors at universities here. I have gone and talked to pedagogy classes and told them what it's like being an independent music teacher. Everything I've told you here, doing flat rates, I show them how you can do the flat rate. I compare it to doing the more traditional per lesson model. I show them what it's like to collect automatic payments. And a lot of people around here, they still won't do that because they won't pay the 3% fees. So I don't know why. You should do that. You should be on auto pay as a music teacher. And I think they see, how fast the money for each student adds up,
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing awesome work. Everybody wins. They keep coming. So you have this stable of students. And I'm glad you mentioned you're talking about the processing fees. And it's another simple thing, which it doesn't matter how you do it. But the point is that being a business, automating your payments, never having to send an invoice, never having to explain money, it's the same thing as not having reschedules. It's the same thing as doing flat rate. They're little tricks that more than make up for themselves. Processing fees are a write-off. Great, that's a tax expense. But it's the people, because there's a ton of teachers everywhere who are like, I'm going to just do some cash and I'll just kind of Venmo, and they don't make as much, right? And so if they were, and they're the ones who are also doing reschedules on the weekends because they're doing an invoicing system, and they're like, they don't want the next check or the next Venmo to be smaller because they haven't stood up to their students, and their students are going to Bali. And so instead of paying the full amount, they take that lesson out. This used to happen to me too, until my wife literally took over my studio. So I am guilty as charged of doing this when I first started teaching. That's why I know it so well. Like, this check's the wrong amount, or what? And it's all these things you mentioned that I think made this such an awesome conversation.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that I think that young people tend to have the extra room in their life to go into all these crazy situations and deal with all this crazy business stuff. But again, I think I was also young and had a lot of time in my life, but I chose not to do many of those things because there were people telling me not to do it. Because eventually you will be in a point in your life where money is really a necessity. It's essential. You have to make a living. And I tell them that. But even if you are not young and especially if you are not young, you do not have the bandwidth to not charge a living rate and not cover processing fees and do automatic payments. So you don't want to keep up with checks. And even with mobile deposit, I don't want to deposit 32 checks, or every week if you're taking every lesson. I don't want to keep up with Venmo or PayPal and all that. So just pick one way.
And what you're really saying is you're picking your battles, and you're picking them wisely, and you're making your decisions. I love how you said the policy already made the decision. Yeah. That was such a good line. And that's an easy thing to glom onto, is that you're choosing what's important to you. And that can be different to everybody. But choosing it wisely allows you to go so much further, so much faster. So thank you for sharing that. And this has been an amazing conversation. And
it's been great.
Hopefully we can do it again. Are you planning to go to MTNA in Chicago this year?
I am not as of now, but that could still change.
You're in the Nashville chapter. Are you part of that?
I am in the Nashville chapter. Yes, I'm operating as the vice president of programs, so I am pretty busy with that. Always planning the next speaker and all that sort of thing. So I got to get on actually the next year, 26, 27, and schedule speakers. So usually try to stay ahead on that. Awesome.
Well, I hope to see you again soon. This was an amazing chat. Thank you so much for being here, Michael. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Eric.
See you soon. You've been listening to the 440 Podcast. If you found this helpful, subscribe at Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave a quick rating. It makes a big difference. To learn more about how to run your teaching studio with less stress and more joy, visit Fonz.com. I'm Eric Brandt.